Let's jump to sponsorship, since this whole thing's about sponsorship. Who was your first parts sponsor? Open to the panel. How'd you get it?
I'll go first. A wheel company in Suarez, California, known as Soco Racing Wheels. I found them in a magazine that's very old school, Full Throttle magazine. This black and white magazine, and they were advertising for like domestic vehicles. And I'm like, oh, they're nearby. I'll just go by there. And I met with the owner, who's also an engineer. I was a student at the time. We just hit it off. So it taught me very early on that relationships are extremely important when it comes to sponsorships. When you interact with people, when you have that personable interaction and you have that opportunity to have something in common or to be there for that individual and talk about that and really care about what they're about and what their background is, just having that friendship and camaraderie goes a long way in allowing you to do wonderful things and opening that channel for to and fro relationship to occur. So my first parts sponsorship was a drag wheel company.
Who wants to go next?
I could go. I'll always remember my very first sponsorship because it was kind of an eye-opening experience for me. My kind of background is I've always been fortunate enough to be building cars for clients, not myself, so there was never any real big financial loss if a build wasn't going the way I wanted it to. But in the beginning stages of trying to build cars for Battle of the Builders at SEMA, which is an incredibly high stage, you find out that it takes quite a budget of even just parts if you'll donate your labor and put some sweat equity into the cars per se. And I was probably 4 years into a 5-year build before I really got any traction. And it was that personal element. I took it to a local car show where I was fortunate enough to accidentally run into the president of Radium Engineering, a fuel products company, Aaron. And he just loved the passion I had and the innovation that I was doing on the car, so much that he's like, yeah, just call me and we'll get you whatever you need. And me being young and just thinking, I've already kind of blown through all the budget we had, and I'm trying to build a car way above the pay grade here as more of a resume. Sure enough, I did call thinking, this isn't going to go the way I thought it'd go. Even at 40%, 60% discount, which would be phenomenal, I still can't afford these parts because we ran out of client money. But no, sure enough, I made the call, and then about a week later, an unmarked package showed up on my doorstep, and I went, wow, that's cool. This guy believes in me so much that they're just willing to send this stuff and help me amplify my build, which went on to win the Young Guns division in Battle of the Builders and kind of get my career going. And now, even today, one of the 3 that I have going for SEMA in coming years, and actually probably 2, have radium parts on them, and it's just a no-brainer because there's that deep respect for him believing in me when I was a nobody, and then getting some traction at SEMA, and then I can kind of pay that back, and I've got a lot more eyes on what I do to kind of feed business their way, because I only work with people that build quality products that I want to use anyways. So it's a really nice, cool relationship where, they can give me the early edge, and then over the course of my career now we can have that payback. So it's really a nice return both ways.
Gabby?
I mean, it's hard to kind of qualify sponsorship or partnership. I think I got started doing social media, which is where I got a lot of my connections and partnerships. In the beginning, you get a lot of people that just will send you parts for content, right? But one of my partners that I have that I still work with today, I got, and I still just don't believe it. They had reached out, and I just thought that it was like spam or somebody wanting something else from me. This isn't real. But it was actually BF Goodrich, and they just for me, I had a really hard time understanding my value and actually believing that I had anything to give back. I just really enjoyed making content. So when they reached out and they wanted just to have a call, a chat, and they really believed in me, my values, and what I stood for, and just being different and having fun, and that more lifestyle of just enjoying cars and what I wanted to do, and they just wanted to be a part of it and wanted to help me kind of get to that next level. And every year we've gotten to have a better and better relationship, and they are someone that I've just been continuously working with.
Deidre, what about you? Who was your first part sponsor?
So I think I have a really unique story. that I think will add a lot of value to everyone that's here, because I see a lot of young faces, and when I see young faces, I think YouTube and I think Instagram and TikTok. And for those who don't know, I've been doing this now for I think 9 years. My channel is now somewhere over 2 million, but when I started, there wasn't YouTube. There was no automotive content creators. I can actually count on one hand the amount of people that actually made YouTube content. So when I started it, I didn't do it because I wanted to be a YouTube creator or I wanted to aspire. I was just doing it because it's something that I found interest in, which I think adds to my story a little bit. So when I first started, my first sponsor was with I think it was a company called 86 Speed Factory. At the time, I had a BRZ. I had a YouTube channel that I had been doing for about 2 years. I was in school, and it was just a hobby of mine. But I slowly started to figure out that everything in the cool brands world and what you see is all a game. And you have to figure out how to play this game and figure out what the secret key to open this door to be a part of this club, as I like to say. So I started reaching out to BRZ Subaru distributors. So this was just, they didn't make parts, so they were a distributor. And I started reaching out, and I would do cold emails, and I sent an email that was essentially like, hey, my name is TJ. I'm going to guess I had 50,000 subscribers at the time, but I want to remind everyone, YouTube wasn't a thing. You told someone you were a YouTuber, they'd have no idea what this means. It is, no groundwork has ever been laid before for this type of stuff. So it was a very like, you do what? I don't really understand, but it was an email. And I got lucky because the person who saw the email was actually a viewer of the channel, and he was probably like 18. He went to his boss, who was probably twice his age, has no idea, and I somehow landed a phone call with him. And I was like, hey, I have a YouTube channel. I get 20,000 views a video maybe, and my pitch to them was if they could give me $2,000 a month of store credit, I can use that for install videos on my car that I was uploading videos on. And at the time, my channel was just, I have a BRZ, and I'm going to do taillight install, coilover install, brake install. I think what a lot of people on YouTube now try to do. So I was like, if you give me X amount of dollars a month, I can promise you 3 videos where I will highlight that product and I will show people where to go and buy it. And it was kind of like a licensing, right? Like I will just promote you. And I think after back and forth and a couple phone calls and me just kind of really trying to thoroughly explain, they took a shot in the dark and a chance, and it was a hit for them. And the rest kind of was history, and that kind of opened up that door, and it showed me how to leverage what I had.
Yeah, I think one of the things you're seeing here is a lot of these panelists, they weren't afraid to ask, right? It's like going on auditions. You can get a lot of no's, but if you build the right relationship, like to Kyle's point, like some people are just going to believe in you. You got to be pitching something good. It can't be like, sponsor me. What have you built? Nothing. Do you have a channel? No, I don't. I'm starting one. But I'm going to put your logo on my car. It's going to be huge. And everyone will kind of laugh just like that. But to TJ's point, try to know what you own and what you have to offer. Any advice? Anyone on the panel that has...
I was actually going to jump in right as you said something. I think the biggest thing you need to ask yourself is, and as Archie said, I own a wide body company as well now, and I've been someone who's gotten sponsored and has done that whole thing, and I'm still doing that, and now I'm at the point now where I'm like, I have my own business, and I get sponsor emails and DMs every day, and I'm not like, oh wow, I see how it's like now. Yeah. But the one thing that I think people just miss is, oh, I have 20,000 followers on Instagram, or like I have a TikTok and I went viral, or I went to a car show and I got first place. It's like, cool, how are you going to make me more money? What are you going to do that's going to make Street Hunter get more sales? What are you going to do that's going to sell me more? Because at the end of the day, a sponsorship, you're not getting parts because you're cool. You're getting parts and you're getting these privileges because that company thinks and they believe that you can make them more sales. At the end of the day, the game is how you almost think of yourself as an employee. If I'm going to sponsor you with a Street Hunter kit, I'm going to sponsor you with a wing or something, I'm expecting you to bring me a value that I can't do, but you're going to be providing me an extra outlet. And I think the key is, cool, you have a following, but what are you going to do? How many shows are you going to go to? You're going to hand out business cards? How are you going to promote my business to get more sales? And really, that's like the key that I think really goes over people's head. As they just think because they have clout that's going to get them, their start, and it won't.
If anyone on the panel want to talk about any experience on getting like a sponsor with some dollars behind it.
I think I can start with this here because you mentioned something very interesting about your tire, about BF Goodrich, and they saw value in what you were doing, and it's painfully obvious that you're very passionate about what you do, and that passion is what allowed me to attract a financial sponsor. And RJ, you may or may not know this, but my first financial sponsor was American Honda
Wow.
through John Yoshinaga.
Yeah, the parts guys.
Yeah. So how this happened was, I've always been very passionate about motorsports and racing, and drag racing, I was extremely unique in the sense that I felt there's something that I needed to do to make sure that my sponsors were very happy with me. So drag racing in the late 90s, early 2000s was very interesting. Everyone kind of held their cars close to their chest. So you go to a drag race, any particular track, and you see a bunch of racers in their tents, and the tents are corded off, and you can't go to their car, you can't talk to them, and everyone's like, oh, no. In my case, I was extremely open. Anyone could come up to my booth, ask me questions about my car, I'll bring them in, I'll point to things, I'd have a table, and I'll put all the flyers of all my sponsors there. And I was very open and interactive with anyone who came to my booth, even competitors. John Yoshinaga was walking around Fontana. He was just a parts guy from American Honda, scouting around, and saw me, like, just watching me for a long time. I saw him, I thought it was pretty creepy. But anyway, he was just watching for a while, and he finally came up to me like, hey, how would you like to race for American Honda? I'm like, what? How would you like to race for American Honda? What do I have to do? Well, all I had to do was run an HFP sticker.
Yeah, I remember that.
And the money he offered me for every win,
It's good money.
I thought it was a
never got
scam.
that.
I thought, there's no
Right?
way. But I did. So I was approached not because I pursued, but I was just doing what was natural and just good. And I attracted the sponsor to me and attracted the resources to me.
My first financial partnership was actually a partnership that I also still work with today, but I had worked with just for product, proven myself, and they wanted to help me get to that next level. It was actually Motul, and they just saw what I could do with what I had. If I had more financial assistance, I could go do X, Y, and Z, and they felt comfortable doing that because I had constantly proven that I can create the content, I can get engaged, I can get people talking about the product, and kind of give that branding to a brand that didn't have a voice, if that makes sense, that lifestyle voice. So, I'm all about creating partnerships for longevity, proving myself, showing that I can get engagement, that I can talk about the product, that I can get people excited about it, and then kind of asking that next step and making sure that it works together for both the content creator or brand, right? And they started kind of flying me out to events and having me do more exciting experiences, and they helped me financially cover like a really cool cross-country trip. I wanted to do a series, and they helped cover the cost of just doing that, like gas or hotel or whatever, and actually paying me for the time to make the content and to actually be able to do that. So, and I'm all about proving myself and then pitching what actually happened. I can't think of it.
ERI.
Yeah, it's like making content and then showing and proving that I can do that, if that makes sense, instead of just asking before I have any evidence.
I think Gabby is a great example of, and a lot of everyone on this panel, it's this step-by-step process, right? You start with one deal, they're really happy, they find out what you want to do too. Like, oh, I want to do this, but I need help. And for your best partners, a lot of times they'll want to continue to support you if, to TJ's point, you're helping drive revenue, right? Or awareness, or whatever their metric or KPI is.